Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about downhill racers and who are the best downhill racers of all time. Today I'm going to have a little bit different format than what I've used before. I know we've used the greatest of all time, especially in slopestyle when we talked about Emil Johansson and Brandon Semenuk. I'll pin that video down below. But today I'm going to use a little different format. We're going to use the Mount Rushmore, who are the 4 best racers in no particular order. I will give you who I think is the best, but I think the best is found among these 4 racers for sure. Before we get started though, I do want to kind of explain the criteria that we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at World Cup wins, so just your total wins, how many races have you won. We'll be looking at World Championship wins, even though I struggle with World Championship wins because, yes, it is a win, but it's just another race that we just name World Championship wins. But we will be talking about it. But the most important thing for me, other than just total wins, is your overall wins. How many seasons of downhill did you win? And that's much more important to me. But for heritage sake, we will also be looking at the World Championship wins. So first off, the first person I'm putting on Mount Rushmore is Aaron Gwin. Aaron Gwin has 5 overall wins and 20 World Cup wins and 0 World Championship wins. He is still racing, so there's a chance he could get a World Championship win here. He's definitely still in contention, although he has had a couple down years the last couple years. But when he was at his peak, he was by far one of the most dominant racers we've ever seen. In 2015, he was probably his peak. He won a race with no chain, is probably his most iconic feat. He won, also that year, he won 5 out of the 7 races, which is incredibly difficult to do. Was just super dominant. Like I said, I think he's had one of the biggest peaks in downhill. Like at his best, Aaron Gwin might be the greatest of all time, although he doesn't quite have a couple of those accolades yet to definitively say so. Up next, we have Anne-Caroline Cosson. I hope I'm saying that right. If you were to just off resume who is the greatest of all time, Anne would definitely be it. She has 5 overall wins, 9 World Championship wins, and 40 total race wins. Twice as much as Aaron Gwin, who we just talked about. 40. It is still mind-blowing. She's also the only Olympian on our Mount Rushmore. I believe she did it in cross country. I don't think there's been a downhill Olympic event. If there is, I should definitely bring it back. But yeah, she is an Olympian. And like I said, based off of just pure resume, her dominance in the 90s is just insane. Our next Mount Rushmore person is going to be Rachel Atherton. Rachel, in my opinion, is the greatest women's racer of all time. I just think that it's a shame that these two didn't get to race a little bit more together. Rachel definitely would have thrown a wrench in a lot of Anne's runs, although Anne is still incredible. Rachel has 6 overall wins, 5 World Championship wins, and 39 wins, just one less than Anne. But she does have the one more overall win. She's the only racer to have what's considered a perfect season, which is winning every race that year, winning World Championships, and winning the World Cup overall. She's an absolute legend. She's had a couple years off because she recently had a baby, but she will be back at the races this year. I am so excited to see what she does. And now, this is the person who, if I had to say was the greatest racer of all time, I'd definitely say it's Greg Minnaar. Greg Minnaar has had by far the most longevity. He's kind of the Tom Brady of downhill racing. Stayed at the top for so long, and he's still racing. Like, he still wins races. I think it's been confirmed he's potentially moving to Norco this year off Santa Cruz, who he's been with for a very long time. As far as his resume, he's won 3 overalls, 4 World Championships, and 22 wins, 2 more than Aaron Gwin. I did want to also put some honorable mentions, people that didn't quite make it into my top 4, whether for not enough accolades or not being quite as dominant as other racers on my Mount Rushmore. And so I just wanted to give them props as well. First, as Sam Hill, there are some diehard Sam Hill fans who I'm sure have already gone to the comment section trying to roast me about how Sam Hill is the greatest of all time. I will say, eye test or purely off talent, Sam Hill is probably the most naturally gifted downhill racer of all time. Many times he has looked absolutely unstoppable. As far as his resume, he has 2 overall wins, 3 World Championship wins, and 13 World Cup wins. His resume is why I docked him. If he had more overall wins or more total wins, I definitely could have seen him bumping out Aaron Gwin. But he is returning to downhill, so I'm very excited to see what he does. And if he goes on a streak for the next 2 or 3 years or however long he's planning on racing, I could definitely see him moving up. My other honorable mention is Steve Peat, 3 overall wins, 1 world championship, and 17 wins. 3rd most total wins of any male downhill racer. He's a nice guy, and he's definitely very fast and has been a part of some very iconic teams. Okay, that's all for me today. Let me know how you guys like this format of Mount Rushmore versus the GOAT. I know we also talked about the GOAT, but I think it allows to give some people some credit that normally we wouldn't talk about. So, okay, that's it for me today. Peace.